Hey, crime connoisseurs. If you're like me, you love diving into a good book. I especially love finding a book about cases we cover. But sometimes it's hard to find the time to sit and read. We live in an on-the-go society. Thankfully, Audible makes it easy to instantly access the books we love without sacrificing our time. With over 180,000 audiobooks and more, you will undoubtedly find one that will grip you and leave you not wanting to pull away while still being able to do other things. You can get a free 30-day trial membership by going to audibletrial.com/ccpod to start listening to your favorite books. That's audibletrial.com/ccpod for your free 30-day trial membership. Hey, all my fellow crime connoisseurs. I'm your host, Grace D. Before we jump in, I just want to go over a few happenings in the true crime world right now. On February 14th, at the Kansas City Chiefs Victory Parade, gunshots rang out, wounding 22 people, ages ranging from 6 to 47. It is said that at least half of these victims were under the age of 16. Local radio DJ for KKFI 90.1 FM, 44-year-old Lisa Lopez Galvin, was sadly killed. Reports initially stated it was 2 juveniles, but the latest reports named 2 men, Lyndall Mays and Dominic Miller, who have been arrested and charged with second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon. Another true crime happening is the case of Ruby Frank. Ruby and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, pleaded guilty to child abuse on February 20th and were both sentenced to 4 to 30 years. They have 30 days to appeal their sentencing. A spokesperson for Ruby has said that she will not be appealing her sentence. At this time, it's unknown if Jody will be appealing hers as well. Finally, on February 22nd, a New Hampshire jury found Adam Montgomery guilty of second-degree murder in the death of his 5-year-old daughter, Harmony. Adam's sentencing date is set for the morning of Thursday, May 9th, 2024. He's facing 35 years to life in prison. I know that's a lot of information before we get started, but these were just such important events that I felt we needed to touch on first. Now, in our last episode, we covered the supposed ailments that Dee Dee claimed Gypsy had, the procedures she had gone through, and Gypsy's attempt to run away from Dee Dee and her control. Unfortunately for Gypsy, Dee Dee found her and convinced her to return home with her. Little did Gypsy know the additional horrors that awaited her. Gypsy realized that she needed to get away from Dee Dee for good. But how? Before we kick off, I want to give a trigger warning. Today's episode will contain topics of abuse and sexual assault. So with that being said, let's pick up right where we left off. Dee Dee had bought a gun, and Gypsy was scared. She felt trapped and helpless. Dee Dee was such a manipulator, she had people believing that Gypsy was mentally impaired, and she would do anything to keep up the facade. Gypsy planned to try and run away again. She packed her bag and hid it, waiting for the right time. But Dee Dee was suspicious and found the bag, and she confronted Gypsy about it. Gypsy saw the gun on the table, threatened Dee Dee with it, and pulled the trigger as many times as she could. A couple of bullets hit Dee Dee, and a couple hit the wall. But as it turns out, the gun was actually a BB gun. Dee Dee went to get medical care and lied about what happened. She said a man robbed her, taking her wallet and then shooting her 10 times with a BB gun. Dee Dee didn't want to risk shining a light on things with Gypsy and law enforcement, figuring out how bad things were with the two of them. After this, Gypsy was able to get back online again and created her own little fantasy land. Her friend told her to join a free Christian dating site, so she signed up. On the site, she met a man named Nicholas Godejohn. They hit it off, and things quickly moved along with them. Nick was from Big Bend, Wisconsin. The two talked about eloping, naming children they would have together, and had sexual exchanges online. An ex-girlfriend of Nick's reached out to Gypsy and warned her that Nick was violent and abusive, but Gypsy didn't believe her. She thought this was just a jaded ex-girlfriend. Everything with Gypsy and Nick was online. They created their own fantasy world, just the two of them. Gypsy ended up confiding in Nick about the abuse, the lies, and everything she dealt with Dee Dee. In one message, Gypsy wrote, quote, "I need to tell you something. I'm no model. I have a medical condition, so I can't walk. I have a chair I use. Is that an issue?" End quote. Nick responded, quote, "Why would that be a problem? You are an angel in my eyes. It will never make any difference in how I see you from the inside out." End quote. After 3 months, Nick started to change. Each night before bed, he made Gypsy say, "I love and adore you, my king charming, good night." If she didn't, he would get verbally abusive. A month later, Nick told her he had a BDSM fetish. He taught Gypsy how to role-play characters with names and personas. She would dress up in costumes and share photos of herself with him using her secret social media accounts. Their relationship was kept secret for about 2.5 years before Gypsy told her friend about it. Gypsy told Aaliyah Woodmansee about her relationship with Nick in 2014. Aaliyah found the relationship alarming due to the sexual nature and that she believed Gypsy was still a minor. Aaliyah tried talking Gypsy out of continuing contact with Nick, but Gypsy was smitten with him. Gypsy admitted she wanted to be more like girls her age and date, but knew Dee Dee would have to approve first. The two had an online relationship for 3 years. They exchanged several messages, trying to figure out ways to see each other. They planned to meet at the movies in March of 2015. They arranged for Nick to meet Dee Dee in Springfield to see the new Cinderella movie. They hoped that Dee Dee might allow them to date if she thought that they met for the first time in person. Nick approached them at the theater and started randomly talking to Gypsy and Dee Dee, but he came off really weird about it and began by talking about the weather. Dee Dee found this very odd, like, who is this older guy talking to a teenage girl and going to see Cinderella by himself? Remember, at this time, Dee Dee is still trying to play it off that Gypsy is a minor. During the movie, Nick and Gypsy snuck out of the movie and had sex in a handicapped stall, where she lost her virginity. Gypsy was disappointed and felt shameful and disgusting about it. According to Gypsy, Dee Dee got jealous of her giving Nick so much attention. She ordered Gypsy to stay away from him. They fought for weeks over this. Gypsy said that Dee Dee called her names like whore and slut. Dee Dee called Gypsy a devil's spawn and said that she should have aborted her when she had the chance. After this, Gypsy and Nick began to plan Gypsy's escape from Dee Dee once and for all. Gypsy felt that it was either her or Dee Dee. Dee Dee had power of attorney papers declaring Gypsy was mentally incompetent, so if she ran away again, the cops would bring her home because of the power of attorney. After thinking of every possible way to try and escape Dee Dee, every option they could think of resulted in Dee Dee finding her and bringing her back home. It was after this that Gypsy came up with the idea of having Dee Dee killed. That is when the true dark side of Nick Godejohn appeared. He told Gypsy his alter ego was a 500-year-old vampire named Victor who loved to kill. Before we go on, let's learn a little more about Nick. Nick was born in Big Bend, Wisconsin on May 20th, 1989. His father's name is Bobby Godejohn, and his mother's name is Stephanie. They divorced when Nick was around 3 or 4 years old. Nick lived with his mom after this. During grade school, Nick was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. Nick grew up a bit of a loner. In an Oxygen interview, his dad, Bobby, said, quote, "It was hard for him to make friends. He was always by himself, pretty much grew up by himself. He had friends, not many, 1 or 2, but mainly family were his friends," end quote. Nick's mom, Stephanie, remarried a man named Charles Goldimer in 2008. Sadly, Nick had a troubling past. On March 11th, 2013, at the age of 23, Nick arrived at a Waukesha McDonald's at 10:30 a.m. and stayed there with his laptop until police were called at 7:18 p.m. The shift manager contacted the police after a customer complained, and the shift manager walked past to find Nick masturbating to pornography. According to reports, he told police he had his hands down his pants because he was scratching himself. However, the Waukesha police officers who were called to the McDonald's didn't buy this. People at McDonald's told police that he was watching pornography on his laptop while fondling himself. According to the complaint, officers arrested Nick at the restaurant and found a large folding knife in his pocket. Nick was charged with carrying a concealed weapon and disorderly conduct in Waukesha County Circuit Court. If convicted, he faced up to a year in jail and $11,000 in fines. Prosecutors eventually dismissed the carrying a concealed weapon charge. Nick was ordered to pay a fine in this case and surrendered the weapon to the Waukesha Police Department. Before we return to 2015, I want to give a trigger warning. We are going to be going over what happens to Dee Dee, and the topic of rape will be discussed. This may be triggering for some listeners. Gypsy had asked Nick to murder Dee Dee. Nick suggested poison or arson. Gypsy suggested a gun, but Nick said it would be too loud. After going back and forth on ideas, the pair eventually landed on using a knife. Nick wanted to rape Dee Dee, murder her, and dump her body at a farm and leave her for the pigs. Over time, the two planned how they would go about murdering Dee Dee. Gypsy recorded a video of a walkthrough of the house to show Nick. In the video, Gypsy points to the side of the bed that Dee Dee laid on, and you can see Gypsy's hand making a stabbing motion. During this time, Nick had sent Gypsy a series of unsettling text messages that said, quote, "Honey, you forget I am ruthless, and my hatred of her will force her to die. It's my evil side doing it. He won't mess up because he enjoys killing," end quote. Gypsy stole money from Dee Dee's safe and mailed it to Nick in a greeting card to get a bus ticket to Springfield. On June 9th, 2015, Gypsy woke up and messaged Nick. He told Gypsy he was on his way. Nick had told Gypsy to tell her mom she loved her for the last time. About 5 hours before the murder happened, Gypsy said she and Dee Dee had a moment. They watched a movie. Gypsy hugged her mom and told her that she loved her. According to Gypsy, Dee Dee asked, "What was that for? I'm not dead yet." Gypsy went to the bedroom and cried. Part of her didn't want to go through with it. She hugged Dee Dee's pillow and said that it smelled like her mom. 2 hours later, Nick messaged Gypsy saying he had arrived. He checked into a motel and waited for a confirmation text from Gypsy. She informed him that Dee Dee was asleep. Nick took a cab to the 2100 block of North Volunteer Way. When Nick arrived at the house, Gypsy unlocked the door and gave Nick a knife she had stolen from a local Walmart. He told Gypsy to, quote, "get in the bathroom now," end quote. So she did exactly that. She went into the bathroom, sat on the floor, and covered her ears. Gypsy could hear Dee Dee screaming and banging. The screaming wasn't like that of a horror movie, but more of a startled type scream. Dee Dee asked who was in the bedroom, and then Nick attacked her. She started screaming again. It stopped for a moment, so Gypsy uncovered her ears, and then she heard Dee Dee call out, quote, "Gypsy, help me," end quote. She called out for Gypsy 3 or 4 more times. Gypsy wanted to help, but she didn't. She stayed in the bathroom, frozen. She heard the screaming start again, and then one more sharp final scream, then silence. During the process of the murder, Nick cut his finger. He had Gypsy clean up the droplets of blood throughout the house. According to Gypsy, she was in a disassociated state, and the following events are what happened according to her and statements that she has given over the years. Trigger warning. Topic of rape is going to be covered. She said that Nick commanded her to get naked, and that since Gypsy would not let Nick rape Dee Dee, she said she had to let him rape her. When Gypsy yelled stop, he didn't. She called out for Dee Dee even though Dee Dee was already dead. According to Gypsy, she blacked out when Nick choked her. When she came to, he made her call a cab. Gypsy was high and in shock over what had all unfolded over those last several hours. She didn't believe any of it was real and actually happened. Nick had a round-trip bus ticket, and when they went to the bus station to get a ticket for Gypsy, there weren't any seats available for her. Seating was available on the next trip from Springfield, Missouri to Wisconsin in 2 days. So Nick exchanged his round-trip ticket for a seat on that one, and they purchased a ticket for Gypsy. After this, the couple went back to the motel, where they had sex and videotaped themselves after talking about it. Before they left for the bus trip to Wisconsin, they mailed the knife Nick used to murder Dee Dee to his home. When they finally arrived at Nick's home in Big Bend, they told his mom that Dee Dee kicked Gypsy out and that she would be safe there with them. They went into his room, and Gypsy noticed it looked like that of a 15-year-old boy, not a 26-year-old. He had a rustling comforter on his bed. It was then that Gypsy realized Nick wasn't as independent as she had thought he was. According to Gypsy, Nick controlled what she would wear, eat, drink, and watch, just like Dee Dee had done. She traded one controlling nightmare for another. The remorse and guilt started to surface, and she wanted Dee Dee to be found. So, on June 14th, 2015, she went to the Facebook account she and Dee Dee shared, Blanchard, and decided to post what Nick said when he got to the house. Quote, "That bitch is dead," end quote. People were confused by this post. One person questioned, "Did you get hacked?" Another posted, "What's going on?" The comments continued to flood the post, with many people worried about what was posted and no other communication from the account after that. Some went back and forth about calling the police, while others decided to go to the residence. Eventually, the police were called, and the investigation began. When police entered the home, they were met with a grueling scene. On the bed in the bedroom, they found Dee Dee's lifeless body. She was stabbed 17 times, and the bed was covered in blood. Police continued to search the house for Gypsy. They found her wheelchair in the bathroom, but no sign of her. They thought maybe someone had kidnapped Gypsy and left the wheelchair behind and carried Gypsy away from the home. Gypsy's friend Aaliyah told police about Gypsy's secret relationship with Nick and the alarming things that Gypsy had confided in her. It wasn't long before investigators tracked down the IP address that made the post to the Facebook account, thanks to the help from the FBI. They determined that the IP address came from the Godejohn residence in Big Bend, Wisconsin. The next day, on June 15th, police from the Waukesha County were dispatched to the Godejohn family home. Over the PA speakers, officers called out for Nick and Gypsy to come out of the house with their hands up. There was a bit of a standoff for a little while before they surrendered. Gypsy recalled coming out scared and shaking, and when she opened the door, the red lasers from the guns were aimed at her. When law enforcement officials realized that the young woman was Gypsy, they were a bit confused because they were informed that she would need a wheelchair because of being paralyzed. Gypsy and Nick were taken to the police station and placed in separate rooms. Nick was taken into an interrogation room, and Gypsy was taken into a more comfortable room with a couch. I watched the entire 2+ hours of Nick's interrogation with Detective Angela Mahoney. Shout out to 8-Minute Crimes Investigations for having the full police interrogations of Nick and Gypsy. I'll link them in the show notes for you guys to view if you haven't seen either of them. Nick's is about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and Gypsy's is about an hour and 35-ish minutes. And I watched both of them in full. When it comes to Nick's interrogation video, to say that it was cringeworthy is an understatement. Because remember, Nick was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder while he was in grade school. During the interrogation, Nick was alone in the room with Detective Angela Mahoney, with no parent or guardian, no legal representation. Nick signed the paper going over his Miranda rights, initialing next to each one that he heard and understood, but in the video you can see that he looks confused. In the beginning, Nick starts to tell the story that he and Gypsy came up with. When Detective Mahoney confronts him, saying she knows he is lying and that Gypsy has told them everything, he starts to tell the truth. As he is talking with Detective Mahoney, he's very calm and reserved. Multiple times he expresses guilt, but he also has playful laughs while saying it as if he was just caught in a lie over something small, not murder. At one point, Detective Mahoney asks him if there is anything else that he wants to say that they still need to discuss. Maybe he needs to take a moment and think about it. She tells Nick she will step out of the room and give him some time to think. She steps out, and you can see Nick thinking. And then he starts talking to himself. He mutters, quote, "Oh, I gotta tell her that," end quote. Then he starts saying something else that's hard to make out and seems to be talking to himself, looking from one side of him to the other, as if he's having a conversation with someone who isn't there. Then he says, quote, "I am so out of it," end quote. He puts his hands on his head and he starts rubbing it, followed by, quote, "But I'm so worried about our Gypsy though," end quote. Nick is silent for a minute, then looks to his left as if he's talking with someone having a conversation. But remember, he's alone. It's hard to decipher what he's saying in some parts, but here's a clip of what I'm referencing.
I'm going to ask her a question that maybe she can explain to me and answer to. I'm going to ask her, besides being honorable, where does the truth take me besides that? Because the reason I ask this is because me and Gypsy planned on lying our way through this. Because we didn't know how much you guys knew. We knew how much you guys knew, we would have probably perfected it. At first I didn't know what was going on until she came down. I had to wait for her though. So I was just not back in.
He sits silent for a little while before saying, quote, "I don't know if I'll be able to see her. I really don't know," end quote. About 15 seconds later, Detective Mahoney came back into the room. During this time, Nick continues to speak with Detective Mahoney and confess more. She asked him about the lie and other things that I found interesting about her tactics. I'm going to play a portion of this interaction. It's about 6.5 minutes long, but I felt it was important for you guys to hear it from them and their demeanors and tones. Uncover the secrets of your dog's DNA with Wisdom Panel, the world's leading canine genetics test. With a simple cheek swab, Wisdom Panel can reveal your dog's breed, ancestry, health traits, and so much more. Understanding your dog's genetic background can help you provide the best care possible. Whether it's identifying potential health risks, understanding their behavior, or simply satisfying your curiosity about your dog's unique heritage, Wisdom Panel delivers the insights you need. Their state-of-the-art technology analyzes over 350 breeds, types, and varieties, and screens for over 200 genetic health conditions. Plus, their easy-to-understand reports make it simple to learn about your dog's genetics. Join the millions of pet parents discovering their dog's story with Wisdom Panel. Order your kit today and start exploring your dog's DNA. Because every dog has a tale, and Wisdom Panel helps you tell it. Go to wisdompanel.pxf.io/ccpod to learn more about your four-legged friend. That's wisdompanel.pxf.io/ccpod.
What was the lie story you guys came up with? I'm always interested in that because they never work. But what was your plan?
What we was gonna say was that first I got into Springfield by the bus, came to the hotel, and then me and her were texting each other while she was out on the streets. And while that was going on, she asked me for her ornament. I asked, oh my God.
See how it is when you start telling lies? It gets confusing, doesn't it?
No, I'm getting confused because I'm so tired.
Okay.
She was supposed to make it seem as if she asked for my room number, so this way she goes straight to my room.
Okay.
And then after that, even though I know there was a lot.
Did you guys send fake texts back and forth to try to help build up this story?
That's the thing. That's the reason why I said I knew it was a lie.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why I wasn't sure she was going to tell the truth right away or not. Because I was ready to tell the truth right away, but I just didn't know she did.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to follow along with the full thing, whether it's the truth or not the truth. I want to make sure that I get the full story straight with what she says too. So.
Okay. Do you think you've done that so far?
I only hope I did, because I've told only nothing but the truth.
Okay. If you could go back and change something, what would you do?
I would have, the thing is this is something me and Gypsy have talked about at least 100 times since me and her have been able to live together these days that she's been able to be with me. I kept on going back, and I kept on asking her, because this is the question I kept on asking her. Before I asked her if she was, I was the one who actually asked her before we even did this killing that happened.
Uh-huh.
I was the one that actually asked her, are you sure you want me to do this?
Okay.
And then she said yes. And after she said yes, that's the rest of the story you already know.
Okay.
But the question I kept on asking her besides that, I asked her, are you willing to risk everything to have everything you ever want?
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why she risked her old life to have one with me.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you didn't really answer my question. If you could go back and change any one thing about what has happened, what would you change?
Oh, how this happened?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Would you change anything?
Well, the thing is I would rather not kill Dee Dee, the truth. Because that's the part that's like the main thing I regret the most of the entire thing.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes what I like to do is when people are cooperative and they tell the truth and they tell their story, I like to offer them the opportunity to write an apology letter. And you can write that letter to anyone that you want that's most important, whether you write it to your mom or you want to write it to Dee Dee's family, or you want to write it to Gypsy, or you want to write it to anyone. Then I like to give people that opportunity. Is that an opportunity you would like to take advantage of?
Yeah, I would do it.
Okay. Would you like to do that right now?
I don't know what I would say, because...
Do you want some time to sit in here and think about it? Because I got to get a camera, because I got to take some pictures of you. I can leave you alone to do that if you'd like to do that.
Jeez.
You think that's too hard to do? You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. That's just something that I allow you to do if you wish to do.
I mean, I do feel the guilt where I feel like doing it. I really do feel like doing it.
Okay. How about this? How about we do this? If you don't want to express it on a piece of paper, tell me now, if you had to apologize to someone for what has happened, who would you apologize to?
The thing is, I do feel bad for Gypsy's family. I really do feel bad for them. I do feel bad for Gypsy. Heck, I feel bad for all Gypsy's friends. There's so many people that...
So you would apologize to all of them people?
I'd try to apologize as much as I could.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go get a camera. I'm going to take some pictures of you, and then we can see what's going to happen from there, okay?
Oh, jeez, I'm nervous.
Okay. Well, I know you're nervous, but you've done what's right. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat this?
No.
Okay. Let me get a camera, and I'm going to take some pictures of you, okay?
Okay, and I had a request for one of the detectives.
Okay.
Which was to go the whole Gypsy one time.
Hold Gypsy one time after this? Okay. Yes. I'll see you. Do you remember who that was that you talked to about that?
There was one, I think, detective, his name was Detective Brad, I think is what he called himself.
Okay.
Detective Brad, there was also another one, I asked a lot of them. I asked Detective Brad, Detective Todd.
Okay.
I can't remember the third one.
Let me go see if that's something that they want to do. Okay. That's pretty much up to them. I don't care one way or the other. If they want to do that, I'm okay with that. So let me go ask, okay?
Okay.
But first, before that could even happen, I have to take pictures of you. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, why did you have to take pictures? Just clear on that.
Okay, the reason I want to take pictures is because I see these injuries on you.
Yeah.
Remember you told me that you cut yourself whenever you were stabbed at D?
Yeah.
So I want to take a picture of that.
Okay.
And then you said that you had an injury right here from that got injured. So I just want to take pictures of you for that.
Okay.
Do you have injuries anywhere else?
Not that hard, no.
Do you have any marks that Gypsy did to you or anything that she did to you? Do you want me to photograph or?
No.
Okay. Are you sure you're not hurt anywhere or anything?
Other than where I'm already bandaged up and home.
Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
After this, Detective Mahoney steps out and Detective Hancock comes in to photograph Nick's injuries. When Detective Hancock is done, Detective Mahoney returns to the room and asks Nick what Facebook accounts he and Gypsy used to talk to each other. He explains that they had a few different ones and deleted several before they were arrested. He gives her the names he can remember and tells her about a joint account they shared. Detective Mahoney leaves again. Nick starts saying to himself, quote, "I think I'm screwed. I think I'm screwed. I did it for her and only for her. Actually, for us. So yeah, it was for us. I wouldn't have did it if it wasn't for us. Said it was the only way to be together." End quote. Nick continues to talk to himself, expressing his guilt and explaining why he did it. He says, quote, "I got a question for that lady. Does Gypsy even want to see me? Where is that lady? She said she was going to be right back." End quote. All of a sudden, Nick starts to break down and things get interesting. Take a listen. Does your furry friend deserve the best? Of course they do. That's why there's Box Dog, a seasonal box of premium products designed just for your pooch. With Box Dog, you can spoil your pet with a fun and exciting selection of high-quality items. From gourmet treats and chew toys to comfy apparel and unique accessories, Box Dog has it all. Each box is packed with hand-selected products guaranteed to wag tails and bring joy. But Box Dog isn't just about products. It's about providing a personalized experience for your pet. You can customize each box to suit your dog's specific needs and preferences, ensuring they get what they love every time. And the best part? Box Dog delivers straight to your door, making it a convenient and hassle-free way to keep your pet pampered. So why wait? Treat your dog to the luxury they deserve with Box Dog, because every dog deserves a box full of happiness. Order your Box Dog today. Go to boxdog.pxf.io/ccpod. That's boxdog.pxf.io/ccpod.
I really wish that Gypsy could say hi to me. I wish I could just hold on to her and I'd be like, oh. That's the thing that scares the most. I'm sure as badly as I do. God darn it, where the hell is one of those detectives? The thing is, I already feel guilty. There's no reason to punish me for something I'm already guilty of. Makes some sense. Punish someone for something they already know they're guilty of? Maybe they know it and they learn us and they don't do it again. They don't need to sentence me into anything. It's a one-time thing. I'll never kill again. I freaking waited 26 years to freaking kill one person. I hope that's the only person I ever have to kill. Because if it ever... Can you stand up for me, please? Yeah, sure.
Just go ahead and leave the blanket there. Stand here and face the wall for me. Hands to the small of your back.
Okay. What's going on, sir?
We're going to be moving you up to a different place. We're just going to hang out for a little bit, okay?
Okay, what's going on exactly, sir?
Well, I don't know, but we don't have a facility or appropriate place for you to sleep down here. So we're going to be just taking you up to a location where you're going to be able to relax. Hey, don't turn around for me, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just...
All right, can you separate your feet, please?
Yes.
Anything on you at all?
Nope.
Just need to perform a pat down and a search, okay?
Okay. I was hoping I would have gotten to see Gypsy one more time.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen tonight, okay?
Tonight, the thing is, sir, is that I know that this is going to be a long wait for me.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I was hoping I would have, at least get to see her this one more time before the long wait happens.
I don't have it in my power to make that happen for you. So unfortunately, right now, just given what's all going on, okay, because it's still all in the works, we don't want you guys to talk, okay? Well, maybe down the road that might happen, but not right now, okay?
Oh, the other detective, I thought she was supposed to come back in here. All of a sudden, she's not coming back in? Or?
She'll talk to you in the morning.
In the morning?
Yep.
Oh, she left.
Yep. And just step out here for me.
Okay.
You were driving.
Turn to the right.
During this conversation with himself, he's again looking to the side of him as if he's talking with someone, even though he's alone. To speak to Nick's mental capacity again, he makes the comment that there's no reason to punish him anymore when he knows he's guilty and feels guilty, and how he's not going to kill him again. It took him 26 years to even kill for the first time. At the end of the recording, Nick is moved out of the interrogation room and to a place where they can keep him for the night. At the same time Nick is interrogated, Gypsy is also being questioned by the police. Detective Hancock, who took the photos of Nick, sits with Gypsy and speaks with her. Gypsy is placed in a different room than Nick, and it's not set up like your average interrogation room. The room Gypsy is in has a couch, an end table with a lamp on it, and a chair for the detective to sit. At this point, Gypsy thinks their plan is still in place. Detective Hancock asks her how she is and says he's there to get some information from her. He asks her for the correct spelling of her name. She gives the spelling, and when she gives her date of birth, she says it's 1995. She tells Detective Hancock that she and Dee Dee were Hurricane Katrina survivors and that her birth certificate was lost during the hurricane, and when they redid the paperwork for it, they messed up and put 1991, but her birth year is actually 1995. He asks Gypsy how old she would be, and she says, quote, I would really be 19, but I'm here and, my medical insurance has 23, end quote. He then asks her if she knows her social security number, and she says she doesn't, but that she brought her card with her, but it's at her boyfriend's house, meaning Nick. When Detective Hancock asks her if she has any family in Louisiana, she says she does, but they are not on good speaking terms. He then asks if she has any relatives who live in Missouri, and Gypsy says, quote, I have my mom who lives in Missouri, end quote. At just under 3.5 minutes in, Detective Hancock says that he needs to talk to her about some things, and she says in a relieved way, quote, okay, I'm thankful because I have no idea why I'm here. Nobody will tell me anything, end quote. He then explains to Gypsy that he is going to go over her Miranda rights and to stop him if she does not understand something that he's going over, and assures her that it is not rude to stop or interrupt him if she doesn't understand something. Detective Hancock asks Gypsy about her schooling education, if she can read and write, and about her reading comprehension, just as Detective Maholey did with Nick. He reads Gypsy her rights and asks her if she understands what he has just read, and she says yes. He asks Gypsy if she has a cell phone, and she says no. He asks if she has a home phone, and she says yes, my mom's. He asks her for the number, and she gives it to him. He then asks her if she has a computer or if she plays any games on the computer, and she answered him like she was confused and says, quote, I don't really have a computer, end quote. He then asks if she ever had a cell phone that she would play around on, and Gypsy says no again. He asks about a laptop or a Kindle Fire or anything of that sort, and she said no, that Dee Dee wouldn't allow her, saying it was unsafe. When he asked why Dee Dee felt it was unsafe, Gypsy replied, quote, my mom tended to be overprotective, end quote. Did you guys catch that too? She used the past tense in her response. It was after this that Detective Hancock said he'd tell her what they needed to talk about and warned her that if she was involved in it, she needed to tell him now. Here, take a listen to part of Detective Hancock's interview with Gypsy.
Sometimes you get dealt bad hand, and I think sometimes that's what's happening with you, okay? And I want you to understand that you need to be honest with me, and if you're involved in anything that I'm about ready to tell you, then you need to tell me, okay? Your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? And she's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this? Okay. Hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay? I want you to understand something, okay? Remember the snowball that we talked about? You remember the pencil that we talked about? I'm going to demonstrate something with a pencil here, okay? Look at me. Look at me for just a second, okay? Sometimes people are going along, you know how you got a pencil? You got the lead here and you got the eraser right here, right? You know what I'm talking about? You've seen a pencil, right? You've used a pencil before, right? Okay. And when you write with a pencil, you write your own story, right? Okay. And you take that pencil and you're writing along with your story. Well, sometimes some people make mistakes when they write stuff down, don't they? We've all made mistakes. You've made mistakes. I've made mistakes, right? You ever made a mistake in your life? And I've made mistakes in my life. And hang on just a second, okay? When you're writing this stuff down, all of a sudden you make a mistake. Well, what do you do with that mistake? You take that pencil and you flip it over and you start erasing stuff, okay? And you erase it and you recorrect it. And you take that pencil and then you rewrite your history, your story, okay? And I kind of think that's where you're at with this tonight, okay? That you have a chance to rewrite your story. And I think that's what you can do, is you can rewrite your story tonight, okay? Like I said earlier, I don't think you're a bad person. I really don't. I don't think that that's you at all. And you're not out here, doing things that are so bad that nobody wants to talk to you, nobody wants to be around you. I don't think that's you, okay? But what I do think is there's some stuff going on that you and I need to talk about. And why these things happen, okay? And that's where we're at with this, okay? Now, I want you to understand something. That you need to be, look at me, okay? Look at me for just a second, okay? You're in a situation where you can help yourself right now, okay? And that's what you need to do, okay? You've got to help yourself, okay? Because the more and more you let that snowball roll down that hill and get bigger, what's going to happen is it's going to explode. And that's what's going to happen with you, You don't want that, do you? I don't think you do. I wouldn't want that. So we've got to rewrite history. We've got to rewrite some things, don't we? Okay? And I think that's where we're at with all this, right? What happened with your mom that night?
I don't know what happened with my mom.
Okay, let's listen to me, okay, sweetheart?
You know what happened to your mom, okay? You know exactly. Sweetheart, listen to me. Let's not go down that road of taking your pencil and writing a bunch of mistakes down. And then when you get to a certain point, that paper's gone, and guess what? You can't erase it, can you?
No.
You can't erase it anymore. Do you want that?
Yes.
I don't think you do.
Yes.
I think you're smart enough to understand where we're at with this, okay? I think you know, okay? And I know that you know, all right? I wouldn't be here if I didn't know. And I know the answer to a lot of these questions, okay? I already know them, okay? I know them, and I'm giving you a chance to be honest with me, okay? Because you don't want this thing to spiral out of control, okay?
No.
Your boyfriend's in here, okay?
Oh, he's here.
He's in here,
Mm-hmm.
okay? All right? And do you think that we've not talked to people?
No, I know.
Listen to me before you say a whole lot. Putting a bunch of lies, because what's going to happen? That snowball's going to get so huge, sweetheart, that it's going to explode on you, and you're never, ever going to dig yourself out of it. Do you understand me?
I understand.
So I want to know, okay, why?
Why?
Why did you guys hurt your mom? Okay,
We would never.
sweetheart, look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Uh-huh.
I've got kids. I've been doing this for a long time.
I know, sir.
And I want you to understand something. Don't dig yourself that hole. Don't go down that path, okay? Because listen to me for a second. You go down that path, and what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to you if you go down that path? It's not a path to go down.
If anything, I don't tell lies.
Okay? And don't sit here and lie to me, because if you do, what's going to happen is it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You're not going to remember the ones that you've told other people, okay? Other people that I've probably already talked to. You understand that?
I understand.
Okay. Why?
Would you like me to start from the beginning?
I only want you to start from the beginning, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. And I'm glad you're making that progress, okay? I'm proud of you for that. But the first thing that we need to get out of the way right now is why. That's the biggest thing. You've got friends that love you.
Of course I know.
You and your mom
Yes.
have friends that care for you.
I know.
You know what? They're down the bottom of this hill with that snowball, and they're asking all these questions. They're asking why.
I know.
Now, help me give them an answer as to why. Okay? You have to give me an answer as to why, because they are so concerned about you.
I know. I have a lot of friends in Missouri. I know that.
Okay.
And, I would never hurt my mom.
Okay, sweetheart, do you really want to dig yourself? You're digging yourself deeper, okay?
No, seriously, I would never hurt
listen
her.
Listen to me, okay? I don't play around with that, okay? I'm not going to play around with this, okay?
Sir, I didn't do
Listen to me.
anything.
Listen to me. Don't let that snowball get bigger, because that's what you're doing right now, okay? You have a chance. You have the opportunity right here, right now. Because once I walk out that door and that opportunity's gone, guess what? It's gone. It's just like when that paper's taken away, when you're writing that pencil, you don't have a chance to erase that mistake, okay?
From a very, very young age, Dee Dee taught Gypsy how to lie and manipulate. In this interaction, you can see and hear the manipulation coming out. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me. It's what she was taught. She was made to be devious. Gypsy tried many times to control the narrative of the situation with Dee Dee and make Detective Hancock believe she had no idea about what happened to Dee Dee or that she was involved in anything. Gypsy ultimately admits to everything to Detective Hancock. After their interrogations with Detectives Hancock and Mahoney, Gypsy and Nick were charged with murder and felony armed criminal action. They were extradited to Missouri and were held on a $1 million bond. Under Missouri law, a charge of first-degree murder can carry the death penalty or life without parole. The county prosecutor, Dan Patterson, announced that he would not be seeking the death penalty for either Gypsy or Nick calling the case extraordinary and unusual. And this is where we're going to leave off. In part 3, we will cover the legal proceedings of Gypsy and Nick and where they are now. So many things have happened with this case, and so many lives have been affected that I don't want to skimp on any details. And I'm sure you all understand and can appreciate that. Be sure to follow Crime Connoisseurs wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you have a case suggestion, you can email crimeconnoisseurs@gmail.com or fill out the form using the link in the Instagram bio. As always, thank you all for listening. In the meantime, keep it classy, connoisseurs, and I'll catch you on the next case. Are you tired of settling for subpar cat food? It's time to upgrade your cat's dining experience with Smalls, the ultimate gourmet meal for your feline companion. Say goodbye to generic one-size-fits-all cat food. With Smalls, you can rest assured that your furry friend is getting the nutrition they deserve. Join the thousands of cat owners who have made the switch to Smalls and see the difference it can make in your cat's health and happiness. Treat your cat to the finest dining experience with Smalls. Visit smalls.sjv.io/ccpod now to order your first box. That's smalls.sjv.io/ccpod. Choose Smalls because your cat deserves the best.